What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Commentary for you. Want to thank my sponsor, Steel Supplements. Link and discount code down in the description. Also, link to a t-shirt, some samples, and shaker cup for $9.99 plus shipping if you want to look into that. You also know I'm a Weeble preferred Blitzer, which means their best promotion is down in the comment section. All you need to do, go click the link, open an account. They're going to give you free stock if you deposit $1. They're going to give you more free stock. I want to talk about my experience with the show, and it's funny, I put up the video last night, and a lot of people were like, oh, you're always so negative, oh, you must hate every game. You know, it's really not that. If you go back and look at my track record on the show, the past maybe 3 years, I've really talked glowingly about this game and what it does in terms of simulating the sport, but I'm starting to see issues that have plagued this franchise continue to kind of make their way into gameplay, and it gets quicker and quicker and quicker. So let me just start by saying, you guys know I'm a Baltimore Orioles fan. I want to go through some issues with the Orioles and liken this to a football team if you're trying to play Madden. So first of all, my star player, Adley Rutschman, was not starting on opening day against the Red Sox. Unless there's an injury in the game, which there wasn't, this made little to no sense. Adley can hit from both sides, so you can't say it's because of Chris Sale. It's just, quite frankly, bad logic, okay? Cedric Mullins has been using the same face in this game since his rookie season. Now, I understand that you shouldn't really maybe be looking to update player faces each year, and as we're going to get to in a moment, be thankful the player faces are in the game. But to me, it's a little bit strange that Cedric's appearance has kind of changed from his rookie season, and yet we're continuing to use this rookie image. Now, as far as images are concerned, we've got basically two star players that have been up on the roster the last season. One of them, Felix Bautista, is an older player, but a closer, had a great story in terms of getting into Major League Baseball. The next is Gunnar Henderson. If you don't know Gunnar's name, you will soon be, as he'll probably be looking at Rookie of the Year contention. The reason I bring this up is, if you just go through everything there, from Adley, which is our superstar, to Cedric, which is our star player, to Felix and Gunnar, those would be the reasons you would be buying the game, essentially, as an Orioles fan. Felix and Gunnar don't have their faces in the game, and they don't look proper in the game either. Now, they did kind of change Bautista this year, so he looks like the mountain that he is, but it's not enough if you're an actual fan of the team. And then in closing, I want to talk about the projected stats, because Jorge Mateo was projected to steal 38 bases. I don't know if this game has actually incorporated the larger bases. I mean, it should have. That's if something Madden did, we would be talking about not having the rules properly implemented. But I don't think 38 base steals is going to be the number that Jorge Mateo, or even Cedric Mullins for that matter, is going to shoot for. Probably more like the 50 to 60 range with the bigger bags. Now, I want to talk about some general things, and I am going to go into some breakdowns with this, but the new bat sounds, I understand it can be personal preference. To me, they're awful. They're awful because you can't really tell the type of contact that's been made from just the sound of the bat, which is something you could have done in the past. The shadow and the lighting is super annoying. I will show you a clip of a night game where literally, depending on where the concession or fans were walking, they would almost glow neon during the game. The base leading images have been replaced with this really grainy, when we joke about, oh, this looks like a PS1, a PS2 game, it really does look like a PlayStation 1 game. I don't know why they did this. There's no detail to the player. This doesn't actually change anything in how you play the game. It's just new interface for the sake of apparently being new interface. And the region-specific broadcast is something they talked a lot about. I was very excited for, and I would agree that some of it is the fact that the announcing is the same, but I really can't tell enough of a difference between the actual national broadcast to the regional broadcast when watching it. And just two final things in playing that opening series against Boston. I am so tired of hearing about Alex Verdugo being traded for Mookie Betts, and that Alex Verdugo was going to play as himself when he went to the Red Sox. Let's actually update that to say, and this is coming from an Alex Verdugo fan, Mookie Betts went on to be a superstar in the league. Alex Verdugo maybe can be sent down or demoted looking at how he's played. So the reality is, this is going to go down as one of the more lopsided trades in history, and yet this game just kind of passes over it as if it was an even exchange of two amazing players, which at the time people thought that it could be, but over the last 3 years, no matter how much you like Alex Verdugo, he's no Mookie Betts. And also to that same point, they constantly bring up Bobby Dahlback, but they really never talk about him meeting those expectations either. It's just strange. If you're a baseball fan, these are things you expect the commentary would know about, and yet, in a way, they kind of talk about these players as if everything has been going perfect the last couple of seasons. So with that, I want to get into some breakdowns and show you some issues I actually have with the gameplay. So I want to talk about AI logic here, some things that really shouldn't happen on a AAA baseball title, and I understand some purists will say, well, take the easy out at first, but in this situation, you've got 2 outs, a base runner on first, and second, Ramon Urias is at bat, so not the fastest player, but a player with decent speed. You have a ball hit directly to Rafael Devers, who's known for his baseball intelligence. You can see he quickly goes down and fields the ball, and he is in the path of the base runner when he does this. So you've got a runner going to second, you've got a runner going to first, you have a runner forced to go to third. Now, when you take a look at what happens here, this is Anthony Santander. He is very much not the fastest Oriole. So the fact that Devers, rather than tag him here, where they're inches apart from each other, instead offers to throw this ball across, which could be dropped, could be missed, could be an off-target throw, giving the availability of the player to be safe at first rather than taking the out that was directly inches ahead of him. And by all accounts, if this was maybe Mullins, this was maybe Jorge Mateo, perhaps they get on base here. The player should have accepted the out that was directly in front of them, and they didn't, and that's something this game has needed to work on for a very long time. I want to show you another example of an issue this game has as well. So I know I didn't just speak real glowingly of Alex Verdugo, but I wanted to watch this fielding issue and just ask, from, again, a logic standpoint, why is something like this in the game for him, right? He's very much known for his prowess in playing off the wall, and that's kind of a big deal when you're replicating him as a player. I also want to say the base running here by Gunnar Henderson is just, this year in general, the base running seems a little bit more stiff, and I don't know why that is. But to talk about this animation, and honestly, maybe not even factoring into the wall being there, I just don't see Verdugo being the type of player that's going to overextend this way and then nearly fall into the wall. And in all sincerity, whether you're talking about, the new Camden Yards wall or the Monster, you should have players aware of how they'll be interacting with the wall, particularly when they spend most of their time in that section of the field. So I don't see him putting himself in peril, like running into the wall this way to then reverse course back to go pick the ball up and throw it. Verdugo also, known for being pretty accurate on his throws, but to have him be the one that should benefit playing in Fenway with the ball and then reacting like this in the game isn't really something that I like to see or think is realistic. Alright, so I know to some this may be a small issue, but the reality is when you're in the game, you're looking for motion, you're looking for movement, and having these little flashes of lighting issues, shading issues, when people are going up and down the steps is kind of a big deal, and it looks a lot more pronounced in the game. It almost looks like camera flashes, if you can think back to some games that incorporated that. And I will say, as I mentioned, the bat sounds are just a little bit odd to me. Maybe we'll get used to them, but they just don't seem to correlate to the actual hit power. And also, I do like the new home run variations, but that's just, again, not enough if we're talking about a new product as far as just doing user interface and saying, hey, look at the things that we've changed. So the positives here is there's still time. There's plenty of time for them to go in, make adjustments, make changes. It's, in my opinion, a little bit more right now like a patch or an update feeling, which I really don't like when you're pre-ordering a game and paying for the capacity to play it early. You never want to feel that way as a customer. I know that Diamond Dynasty is the mode I spend a lot of time in, and it doesn't look like it's received a lot of changes other than, a user interface either. And certainly I understand that you can't rebuild the entire game within a year, particularly with the engine this game runs on. It's much beloved by the community. It's a great simulation engine. It's just when you look at the game overall and you don't see the polish from year to year, you don't see the refinement from year to year, it's just starting to wear a little bit much. And when you load up the game and you see those problems right away, mixed in with some new ones, and then maybe the user interface isn't as flashy as they thought it would be to make you feel like, hey, here's this brand new toy that I just opened up, it's starting to lend itself a little bit more problematic in the long run when trying to play and enjoy a new game each year. Love to know your thoughts on this. Appreciate you watching it. You know I will be back in the week with more commentary.